Sunday. It's a Savedish Sunday. And you are locked in to the Savedish Sunday Podcast, where faith meets real talk, with comedians Bill the Billionaire, Monique and Pastor John Page. Just that come as you are, church. I hope you're ready. It's the Savedish Sunday Podcast.
People, we are back. We are back on this Sunday. It's a Savedish Sunday. Yesterday, it's a Savedish Sunday. And I'm your host, comedian Bill the Billionaire. We here each and every Sunday, 6 p.m. But I don't do this alone. I got the family with me. I got comedian Mo. This is in the building, y'all already know. And I have none other than the one and only Pastor John Page in the building, people. We are here.
What's going on?
Hey. Welcome. Savedish Sunday. How y'all doing?
Yes. Oh, bless.
Another Sunday, another Sunday upon us. We have made it through another week. Getting ready for this week. How's y'all weeks been?
Mine was very good week. Yep, very good.
Yep, that's it. That's all you get. I'm not going to tell you what was good about it, but that's what you're getting. But hey, as long as you
that might
good,
not be none of our business.
I see. You know how somebody tell you they don't want to share.
You know, sometimes people come in with a different glow now. Bo, you do have a different glow about you. I don't know what the glow is, but it is there.
He's definitely doing something in this season. He is. I will say that. And I'm learning that sometimes you don't even have to say what's happening. Mm-hmm. Just know that it's happening, and everybody around you is going to benefit.
That's a fact. Pastor, how your week been, man? How your week been?
Man, it's been great, man. I'm just glad. I'm glad. Really, I'm a type of person that enjoys the season changing, and I enjoy the warmth. And so the fact that it's getting warm and the sun is shining, and my feet are getting a little bit darker now because in the wintertime they get absolutely no darkness to them. Man, I'm blessed, and the weather's changing. Family. We were battling a little bit of sickness in the household. There's some kind of bug that was going around, but everybody seems to be recovering from that, and everybody seems to be doing well. So we're blessed. Thanks for asking.
That's big because I was able to take the kids to the park this week. We was out in the, and then that's the thing, I get scared because we get a little good weather. We in the 60s 2 days in a row, then it dropped down to be 40 the next day. You know what I'm saying?
No more snow though. That's the.
I'm cool with that. I made it through another winter, and I only had to plow maybe once or twice, and it wasn't like a big plow. So you got to count your blessings. You got to count your blessings. Definitely got to count your blessings.
Yeah, I live on the hill, so I dread the winter around here. Like I love, where I live, but it's a very hilly city, and to get out like from my parking spot during icy day is like no.
Yeah, and then I said that, like, for me, I'm not gonna front y'all. Golf, y'all know I'm golfing now. So like, look, that as soon as I get a little bit of sun, I'm outside and getting that. Cause that's my peace. I be out there, and I don't have a fear, but I finally was able to go out without my friends or any people that I knew. I just went out by myself and a stranger. And it was cool. And it's cool. You get to know people because I'm like this. I don't want them talking about my game, but I just be horrible. But then when you see them mess up, you be like, hey, they just as bad as me. So it's like, it's definitely a good thing that I'm able to get ahead and do that. But I'm glad y'all weeks have been good. People, if y'all not already, please make sure you're following us on all platforms. I'm talking about YouTube. I'm talking about Instagram. Make sure y'all follow us, Savedish Sunday Pod. Y'all can get ahead and stay in touch with us. Find out what we got coming on. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that kind of stuff. Because we got some special things that's coming. Like I said, this is episode 6. I'm just proud of us for just getting here
round
to
of
episode
applause.
6. You know what I'm saying? We out here.
We having fun.
So we out here moving, we growing, we got different things that's coming along. So please stay in touch with us. But listen, y'all know we have different segments of the show, and we always start off with our Ask Monique segment of the show. So Mo, we're gonna let you take it away and talk to the people.
All righty. Dear Mo, I believe in my heart that God has called me to preach. I spoke to my pastor about it, and he does not seem to take me seriously. What should I do.
That man got a word on his heart. That man got a word on his heart, and I feel like
Pastor, laugh at that. That just
Pastor, you wanna address that first, or you want me to give my feedback? How do you want to do it?
This ain't your feedback.
You want to hear Mo's feedback?
Yeah. I just want to make sure I understand
Mo,
the
you
context.
answer that. Yeah.
So the pastor doesn't take them serious,
right?
And the person feels a certain they feel like slighted or like.
What should they do about it? They feel like I need to call them, the minister. They don't know what to do. They go to church, they talk to their pastor, and he's like, yeah, I. And, he doesn't know what to do. So what should he do? And my thoughts is that if God called you, there's going to be confirmation. There's going to be confirmation. Now, I have heard of pastors who they want to be the ones to hear that God has called you to pastor. I've heard that. But I really believe that anything God has called you to, he's going to align you with people that see the vision. And I'm speaking from a comedian point of view, because everyone doesn't see what God is calling you to do. So sometimes you got to wait. I don't think you should do anything. Continue reading the Bible, continue serving being a servant. That's important. A lot of people want to preach, but do they want to serve? That's two different things.
Yeah. Let's back up. Because let's consider. There's a couple things I want to consider. I was chuckling because the questions, Taylor made almost, and the dynamic and the trust relationship that he would go or she would go to their pastor indicates that there is a relationship there that the individual should understand or should know the person. And so when the individual says, they took me as a joke, can it be in a relationship that is a humorous relationship? And the individual might have said, oh, Pastor, I feel like I'm called this and that and the other. And the person might be like, oh, get out of here. You're just joking around and this and that and the other. If it's a serious, kind of more serious thing, I would think that the pastor would, kind of embrace that relationship dynamic, that mentor, and be humbled by that, actually. But if that's not the case, then I would certainly submit to the individual that certainly your calls and our calls they are validated, they are confirmed from others, right? So they, I think about David, who when the prophet showed up, he bypassed all of his brothers, right? They didn't look a certain way. They didn't look like the next leader of Israel. And only until they bypassed everybody else and they said, do you have another one? And David comes out, scrawny and kind of beautiful looking. Then the prophet of God said, this is the one who was confirmed. And so there is always going to be, when God calls us, there will always be confirmation. And so I don't know, between the relationship that the individual have with the pastor, but my assumption would be, at least in my viewpoint and perspective, if somebody came to me with that, depending on the context of the relationship that I have with the person, I might say you're just joking, or I might, take the individual serious in terms of what's the next steps of your call.
Okay, so I want to see if I can jump in, because I look at it two ways. I hear everything the way you just broke it down, and the pastor's reaction. Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Like, what if the pastor is just like, nah, this ain't for you. Like, it's some people hate. Like, some people you can get and be like, yo, I want to be a comedian, and the comedian be like, nah, that ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know. You don't know my walk. You know what I'm saying? So that can be a thing that I can take two ways. I can go ahead and take it to be, okay, I'm gonna listen to what that pastor told me, or now I'm gonna go out and continue to do that. I'm not gonna let you saying I don't think that's for you stop me from doing that, because if that's what I truly feel, there's nothing that can stop me from thinking that this is where I want to go.
Well, I want to talk about the calling. I would ask the person, because even when people come to me and they ask me, I think God called me to comedy, I would say, well, why do you think that? What does it look like? Because it looks different for everyone. Everyone it looks different for. So I want to talk about, like, why do you think God has called you? Because I kind of feel like, is that something that you would say as soon as you get the thought, or is that something that you want to do because that's something that you're choosing to do and you're putting behind it, God called you to do it.
I think there's got to be some type of thought.
I think that's a little bit of both. I think there's a draw to whatever that calling is. There's a disturbance that takes place, right, or irritation that takes place. And until one submits to whatever that irritation looks like. Now, again, if somebody comes to me and says that they're called a ministry, that's very broad. Their ministry is very what you do on the stage when you're in front of the crowd, making them laugh and controlling the crowd. That is ministry. Mm-hmm. If you're able to serve and bring people and help people, that is ministry. And so there are different aspects or whatever. The reality is we're all tools in God's tool chest, and we all have gifts, and God uses us for different things. Your gift is different from my gift. Now, if you come to me and say that, I think I'm called to preach or I'm called to pastor, that's a whole nother conversation. Then, I feel like I'm called to ministry.
What would you advise someone who feels like they have the calling and maybe their pastor is not, seeing, the calling?
I would not advise them to leave. I would advise them to stay planted where they're called at, because again, when you're called, you're talking about dealing with God's people, and you're talking about community, and you're already planted in that community. And perhaps the reason why the pastor may not take that individual serious because they have not seen the fruit of their calling prior to the confirmation to their calling. Does that make sense? And so if they're not serving people, or if they're not showing up kind of doing the extra mile stuff, or doing the gospel, the ministry is a people business. You can't be dealing with people and not like people. So, there should be some evidence of what their call looks like before it's even confirmed. And so I would advise the individual to stay planted and allow them to see the fruit first, and then the confirmation will come.
That's good. That's good.
Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that now? Come on now.
That's translated in different ways, because a lot of times people do feel like, I'm called to do this, but it seems impossible. It seems, there's some roadblocks. This doors are not opening. So even what you just said, you can add that into, just even what we do,
Yes. If somebody came to you, you would want them to learn. You would want them to understand what the craft looks like. You wouldn't want them to go out, and even if you're called, you wouldn't want them to go out and pick up bad habits or pick up, bad comedy, or you would want to keep them close, and you would want to see evidence of their work ethic. You would want to see evidence of their writing ability, if you will, or script ability, or stage. When they first get up on the stage, you would want to see them. You would want to walk them through that process, not just put them up there. They're not a finished product, right? And so, I would advise that person, stay planted where you are. Serve, be visible.
I think that the mentorship is very important. So like when you just broke it down for, I know me and Mo meet people all the time, comedians on time. I want to do comedy. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you a chance to get on stage, and I'll direct you in the direction to get on stage. But once I do that, then I'm watching to see how serious you are. I'm going to see what you're going to do on your own, because being that we do this, and the way where we're at, somebody just coming in, we're on two different levels. Like we're past the, hey, do I want to do this as a hobby? Do I want to do this as a career? We've been through that. You're at those stages that you want to get ahead. It looks fun, but there's work that comes with it. There's work that comes for you to be the preacher that you are right now. You didn't come in the way we started, us being comics. We didn't come in as powerful as we are. It took time to get there. So now once we see that it's good, we see that you're locked in and this is something that you really want to put the work into, then I can be there to mentor and show you the race. But then you got to be willing.
And you don't want to drag people. I mean, that gets exhausting. But to me, the key word and I'm going to actually post this on my social media, evidence, seeing the evidence. You want to date me? I need to see the evidence. God has called you to preach. Let's see the evidence. You want to do comedy? Let's see the evidence.
Yeah.
But now let me ask you this. Evidence. You asked for the evidence, right? But now
that's
early
day.
But I feel like what does evidence look like in the beginning stages? Because right now it's like, okay, I feel this is something that's on my heart that I feel I want to go ahead and do. Right. So let's just say I said I wanted to preach. I came up with a message, and let's say anybody can come up with a message, right?
For real.
Anybody can come into a message. It's just the fact of, does it hit? Is it connecting? Is it touching people? I used to go ahead and go out there and say like this. Look, if I go on stage when I do my jokes, I make one people laugh. It's a success for me, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where your goal starts. So I can say, look, this is my calling. I go up and do comedy, and everybody's like, yo, I don't know what's going on. But then there's that one person that's sitting there like, ah! For me, I'm
And
like
we
this.
good.
God, this is my calling. What? Yeah,
Look,
it's the one.
if you say that this is your calling, automatically people are going to begin to watch you and observe.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, if you say that I want to be a comedian,
Yeah.
you just said it. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch and see what is the work ethic. Are you funny? Is my engagement with you comical or not? Because then you could begin to foresee if they're wasting their time or not. You know, the same for you, boo boo. That, you know, you don't have the work ethic. It may seem glamorous, but you understand that there's levels to this thing.
But I kind of feel like in comedy, it's hard to tell somebody that it's not for you, because it takes years to really, really like writing jokes. When I got into comedy, I wasn't a joke writer. It took me years. It took me about 10 years to write a good joke, a solid joke.
But you were funny though. People laughed just in your presence. You were naturally funny.
So my fruit is, if we're going to talk about evidence, some of the things that was proof that this is something that I should entertain is I always loved people. Always loved people. I just love seeing people, like crowds always did something to me. Whenever I walk into since a little girl, whenever I see a group of people, I would like lose my brain, lose my mind. So they knew. So like people that know me knew that whatever I was gonna do in life was gonna be in front of a lot of people. Because as a kid, I would see a crowd and say, "Hi, I'm here." I've never been shy. You know, there's so many different things that my family, you know, say, yes, we saw that. We saw that. We saw. Now, the basics of it, there's people that knew that I was very sensitive, right? Because I'm an only child, you know, and I grew up, I'm very, oh, you hurt my feelings, and I'm still that way. So there were people that I went to that said, no, I don't think you should do comedy because you're too sensitive. Had I listened to those people, I wouldn't be able to walk in my calling. So it depends on how people are looking at you, you know, your flaws. And some, I remember one day somebody said, what did they say? Oh, I was so on my job, my 9 to 5, when I was working, I was always getting in trouble for talking, and everybody will always come to me, and everybody will always want to gather around me and get advice. And I would literally get written up for socializing.
Wow.
Yeah, I would literally, and it made me depressed because I used to think something was wrong with me because I used to love talking that much. And my job made me feel like that is the worst flaw. Like your mouth is going to get you fired. You shouldn't be talking. Shut up. Nobody could come to your cubicle and say good morning. And I literally spent years at my job feeling like, because I was fighting. The little girl inside of me wanted to talk. And when I finally broke free and I left my job and I realized that, I can this has been a gift all of these years. You know, my talking is a blessing. My talking is my calling.
Amazing.
When I realized that, it changed my perspective. It's like I almost let these people really make me feel like there's something wrong with me.
Well, one thing I always say is I'm never going to tell somebody don't do something because I don't know what it is. Now, for me, I can go ahead and look at certain people and say, okay, yeah, they enjoy comedy, and I'll watch people grow. Like I watch them in the beginning, and then I catch them back in let's say another 6 months to see how are they still out there trying to get it. I know what it's like to be out there to where, look, I'm going to one show and getting off that stage like I want to go to another show. Like back in the day when we first started. It's a lot that comes to it, but you see the ones that want to work it. You see the ones that want to put that work in, and that are working, that are trying to grow, that are really investing in themselves, and not just, hey, I'm gonna go here tonight. No, I want to make something out of this.
You
And
gotta
one
be
thing,
almost
But
crazy.
isn't that evidence though? It's the
yeah,
initiative.
I feel like it is evidence. But now the thing is this: it doesn't necessarily say, okay, they have the. You can have the work. I know people that have worked hard to play basketball, to be basketball players, and they have the work ethic for it, but it's just not them. They work hard.
To take it, you can have the initial calling or the initial gift, the initial attraction, if you will. But if you're going to be effective in that, whatever that calling might be, at some point you need the relationship that will give you the platform. You need that. You need somebody to see the evidence and the work ethic, and then you need somebody to stamp the approval that says, I'm going to give them a shot because of the evidence I've seen. Now I'm going to confirm that evidence by giving them a platform to allow them to continue to grow. Somebody had to give you all platforms for you all to continue in your journey. But there was some evidence in your work ethic or evidence that there was a call there before you got to the platform. And too many people want the platform without the evidence.
Come on now. Come on now.
Woo. So just be planted. I believe that God has something in store for each and every one of us. I believe that God has gifted each and every, and you're absolutely right, Billy, that we have to be careful in saying what people can and cannot do. God is able to do amazing things with people from the gutter, right? So
what were some of your signs?
What's that?
What were some of your signs?
I talk a lot.
When God first called you.
I talk a lot. I talk a lot, and I had it was two things. One, I spent a lot of time around older men at a Bible study, a round table for brothers. I was always the youngest dude. But I was absorbing information from them, and I was learning how to. I was somewhat learning pitfalls before I encountered them, whether it be family, career, whatever. I was 18, 19 in college, sitting around 40-year-olds and absorbing wisdom and information. That in itself, I didn't think was unusual then, but looking back, that's kind of unusual to have a young man to just sit amongst elders and continue to learn from them. Yes. And then when I was in college, I would have engaged in social debates or religious conversations. And even though I was a young man, I was buck wild, I still had a sense of, I don't know if you want to call it a moral compass, or I was always available for people. I was always an ear for people. And so when I was around 23, I'll never forget this. I went to a conference in Bloomington, Indiana. And at that conference, I was a youth worker. And I had about 15 kids, and 15 kids from all over the country. I had Gothic kids, I had emo kids, all kind of, just a wide range of experiences. And at that conference, they asked me to speak on a Friday night, just to testify, give a testimony, whatever. And I spoke, and that night, 500 kids came to Christ after I spoke. I never preached. I never said anything in my life.
Wow.
When I got back to my church, I went to my pastor. I said, Doc, I don't know what's going on, but I have this thing or calling to work with God's people, to share with God's people. And he chuckled. He did the same thing I just did. He chuckled. And he said to me, I've been waiting for you to come to me, because there were some signs there. There were evidence in you, and he took me in.
Woo. That was good.
I don't
know if that helps.
So I really like you said, giving that platform. And then for me, I feel like I love to see people grow in comedy. I love to help people with the mistakes that I made, and I can sit here and be like, look, go about it this way. But one thing that I did when I came into comedy, I remember Capone was telling me, yo, this and that is going to happen. And when this happens, I'm telling you, don't get it accepted, because they're going to use you for this. But us thinking we know everything, we like, yeah, all right, I can get ahead and get it this way. And then when you got to get that aha, I told you so. Some things we got to get to learn. They tell you don't touch that iron, but you like, hey, it can't be that hot. And you got to get, sometimes you got to get ahead and touch it. And you fall and be able to come back, but you learn. But to have a mentor that can guide you and, like you said, give you that platform is definitely important. And then the one thing I got to say to the person is, don't let anybody stop you from what you believe in. You know,
Yes.
I don't care what it is. I agree as far as staying planted and continue to learn your craft, learn what you feel like this is your purpose. Learn that thing to where there's no question about what you do. Like in the beginning, of course, you're not going to be. You got to work to get to that level. But know as you're working, while you're doing it, and be patient and enjoy the journey. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the main thing.
For me. It was uncomfortable for me because when I first announced that I was going to do comedy, there were people that was like, about time. Yes, exactly. You should have been doing this. And now I'm gonna be honest with you. It made me upset because I couldn't see what they saw. I knew that God had planted this thought of doing comedy, but because I didn't know how it was gonna play out, when people would tell me that they see it, I would literally like get upset and cry. And this went on for years. And like people will want to come and see me perform. And that's why I'm struggling now. Like in the beginning, you know, when I see comics have like their whole family at a show, like they just start at their first show and they got like 30 people. I'm like, I pushed everyone away when I first started. Like you could not, like nobody could come and see me.
You didn't want to see it.
I didn't want anyone to see me going through the growing pains because I didn't know how it was going to roll out. So now that I'm more comfortable on stage, I'm begging people, come see me. And I wish I would have allowed people to watch me during the journey, but I just, for me, it took years for me to even let certain people see me. I just, you know, so everybody's journey is different. I tell people, don't follow my journey, you know, because I fought it. I was not class clown. I was not the funny chick, you know. My love for people is what drew me into this platform, and I still believe that there's higher that God wants to take me, and comedy is the platform that He's using. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I think that, and like I said, I think there's more. We know, and the thing I can say about Mo, and you know, a lot of us, there's a message to it, and I feel like one of the biggest things that I love about it. And everybody be like this, oh, you gonna preach? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm getting my message across just the way I'm supposed to right now.
But you are
able
preaching.
to be I get that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't get it twisted. I know for myself, I can get ahead and come up with something. I can probably preach a nice, good old sermon. I can't do it every Sunday, but I can get on this stage and do this comedy every Sunday. We got it's just a whole natural thing the way we got to prepare. But I feel like really learn your craft, dive into that, and respect the craft. Respect it too.
What are we saying to this person? We're saying, let there be
stay
evidence.
Still. Stay grounded. Stay still.
Let there be evidence. You know, clearly there's evidence that the person feels that they have a call, but they just need to be grounded, and they need other people to see the work ethic.
You need that cosign. You need that cosign.
You need a cosigner.
Definitely.
You know what? None of us can get through life without a cosign. That's real talk. We don't pull ourselves up by our boots. Somebody always gives an opportunity for us.
Yeah.
You know,
and that person that gives the cosign got to be notable too. Like that like, okay.
Yeah, it got to mean something. You can't just have,
funny.
Billy Blank over here, just saying, I cosign now. The cosign got to be worth something.
Exactly.
That could be a whole other segment. Watch who you get a cosign from.
Yeah, watch your cosigners. Every cosign ain't a good cosign.
Cosigner may have bad credit,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You got to definitely watch people's energy, because even like I said, imagine if I would have listened to the people that said, "Nah, you too sensitive," or "Nah, nah, this and nah that."
That's right.
You go to everyone about it, but go to God. Go to God.
Come on now. Well, people, you already know y'all want to keep
sending those
questions. Talk that. If y'all want to keep sending those questions, send them to Savedish Sunday Podcast at billionairecomedy.com, and we will get ahead and read those emails right here on the show. So we thank y'all for sending in those Ask Monique's. But now it's time to get into the ish, y'all. It's time to get into the ish. Y'all got different things that's going on in your relationships, your spiritual walk, your regular walk. Y'all get ahead and send those things into Savedish Sunday Podcast at billionairecomedy.com, and we can get ahead and read it. Thank you to this person that sent this one in, because you made it easy. All I got to do is just read what you sent in and talk about this ish right here, because this is real. It says, The ish Sunday service versus home service. Can this ish win? Marcus and Tasha have been married for 6 years, but lately there's been some tension in the house. Tasha is deep in the church, always in the front row, hands lifted every Sunday morning. But Marcus, he's not against church, but he doesn't believe he needs to be in the building every Sunday to have a strong relationship with God. Now here's the real ish. When Marcus skips church, he notices something else is missing at home. When he doesn't go to church, Tasha suddenly doesn't feel in the spirit to give him what he needs as a husband. Marcus is starting to feel like worship at home is being controlled by his attendance in the pews. So, can this is work? Okay, like, do y'all feel like church attendance should determine what happens at home? Like, how y'all in a relationship? I got two more, but do y'all feel church attendance should determine what happens at home? Should the loving stop because he ain't go to church on Sunday, Mo? Like, he ain't go to church on Sunday, Mo. Like, is that changing tensions? Anything in the house?
It really shouldn't, and that's insane that if people allow that to happen, because you still my bae, you still my bae.
But now he your bae, you got an attitude. That's what it's basically. But that's the part we got to talk about.
But which is insane to me though, because why you have an attitude because he didn't go to church. I know people who go to church and they still not there.
Come on.
People got church and still got attitude.
Say it again, man. Say that again, Mo.
I know people who go to church and still not there.
Come on.
You getting mad at this man because he decided, you don't know what he prayed about. He still may be praying for you. He still may be covering you just because he's not in the building. And I think that is insane. I think the church has an obligation to remind, the people that you still take care of home. Now, if there's a problem, then that's a different, if it's a problem, it's a problem. But it can't be no problem because he didn't go to church. Oh, no, because the church is inside.
Oh, come on now. You out here dropping them. You out here dropping them. Right. You know what I'm saying?
He's still bae. They don't got nothing to do.
Look, give Mo some horns on that. Give Mo some horns on there.
But I heard a lot of men say that, she go to church, she acting funny, she don't want to come home and give me none. She doesn't.
But but it's real.
Oh wow!
This is a real situation to where I won't. All right, so let's just talk about it. So
let's talk about it.
If you go to okay, I know as far as a family, some people have the view of every Sunday, me and my family as a family, we go to church, and that's great. You know what I'm saying? That you have that, but I don't feel that if I don't go with my whole. One, I don't feel like it's realistic, and then another point is I feel like if you're going to church, great, hold it down for us. Go ahead and go in there and pray just like you would any of it. Because whether I'm there or not, if you're there or not, I'm praying for you the same way I do. You know what I mean? So, and I don't feel that every Sunday I have to be in the church or does that deter my faith walk, my relationship with God? I don't feel that it deters that. Now, everybody receives things differently. So if you receiving has to get ahead of you being in the church, then that's what works for you. You know what I'm saying?
Now, when I get home, are you sitting there smoking weed? You didn't cook dinner? You sitting there in your same underwear?
But what if I am?
The attitude comes in not because you didn't go to church. It's what's happening when I walk in the house. Are there dishes? If you're gonna stay home and pray, get those dishes done.
Nah, hold on. Nah. Listen, if this is what I want to do on my Sunday, this is what I'm doing on my Sunday. Okay, like I don't feel like look. You chose to use your day off and go to church. That's great. You don't know. I could have just had a moment. Let me go ahead and go pray. Go do this over here. Now you coming home because the dishes ain't done. Okay, they're gonna get done. Or the food ain't.
Nothing to eat. So no.
So hold on. Just because just because I didn't go to church, I gotta cook breakfast.
Well, why would she have an attitude? Just because
I'm not expecting. No, because the attitude is because she feels every Sunday as a family we should get up and go to church.
Yeah.
That's real. Like every Sunday we as a family we should get up and go to church. And when you don't go, and I see this in a lot of fathers and whatever, like the kids is going with mom and the dad didn't go. So now it becomes all right, I can go next Sunday when you pick a Sunday to do. So that is one thing. Like and it shouldn't change your mood. I don't feel that should change your mood. Like I should ruin your day because I didn't go to church today. Church could have been great. You coming back with an attitude? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, John?
What you think about that, Pastor? What you think about that?
That's a lot. It's loaded. I just think that there's a lot of various dynamics, and people pick and choose and use things to cover up bigger issues that are going on. Religion being one of them. And so, if there was a split within the faith growth, if you will, or within the growth, and I believe that God is concerned with the family unit first, and that the family unit should grow together, right? So even in the union or the marriage, if an individual is going to church more, it's fine as long as the relationship is growing. We should have room to be able to be individuals within our unions, right? We're two becoming that try to become one. We're still two though. Yeah. And so we got to give that grace for two to take place. I know couples that, they go to different churches, one spouse goes to a church, another spouse goes to a different church. I know, couples that some spouses, they go to church and the spouse stays home. And, it should be okay. But again, we use other factors in our lives in order to really distract or cover up what some of the deeper issues are. And so I don't think the issue for them is whether or not what is she doing at the church. And, there could be some insecurities there. There could be trauma or why he doesn't want to go to church. There's a whole wide range of things that could be going on to create that dynamic. The question is our marriage strong enough to endure? Are we strong enough to endure? Religion should not, bring us to a place where we can't, fight through these things or serve one another, be there for one another, right? I want you to be able to come, if I'm ready to go at it and you're not because of your religious experience, we get to talk about that.
I've heard people say that they feel like sometimes the church is designed to have women come and be there all day and be consumed with things of the church. And then when they go home, they're exhausted, or their husband does feel neglected.
I mean, if they've been at worship all day, it's an exhausting experience. Y'all been to black churches, you get up, you get out, you sit in the choir, people shouting there. It is an exhausting experience. Most of us go home after church and take a nice, good church nap. And so, if the individual can understand that, and if they don't want to be a part of that, they could come and experience it for themselves, or they can, be sensitive enough to wait until 5 o'clock, after she's gotten up from the church now, take her, go get something to eat, something nice. She'll be ready to go, just
she'll be all right. But
I
think that in some instances that I don't want to say women, but in certain relationships, they feel like when you don't go to church as often, your faith is less than someone that goes every Sunday. And there are people that really think that, like, you don't like, and I feel like we have to stop thinking like that because of the fact of you might not know my relationship. You don't know my relationship with God, how often I talk to him and I do that. And I want people to be open and understand that, like, everybody receives differently. You know what I'm saying? My main thing is, are you receiving? You know what I mean? So that I think a lot of people are so caught up in, hey, did you go here? Or like, we can just go like this. Instead of saying going actual to church or having live stream church. You know what I mean? Some people feel like you went to live stream, so it's less than you actually going. Yeah, it feels great to be in the house. But guess what? I received it right here, got the word, I laid down, I received everything that you received to go in there. But now, why does it make me less than? And I think that people have to get ahead and get that feeling out. Like Mo said, the church is right here. You know what I'm saying? I take the church everywhere I get and go with me. So I don't necessarily have to be inside the church, but I feel like there's a disconnect sometimes when it comes to the faith walk, and they think of, okay, since you don't go to church, your faith ain't that strong, or you're not doing this. There's another conversation that comes behind that I think needs to be talked about also.
You sit up in church. I know musicians. I'm gonna put it out there. I know musicians This is their gift. This is their job. They get paid every Sunday to come play the keyboard, play the drums, do this and do that. And when they leave church, they cutting up a rug, they doing this, they doing that, and they're not living Christ-like. They're using their gifts for the church, which is a great thing, but then they're cutting up. So you can go to church, you can be there, your whole physical body can be there, but like Pastor John said, are you what's the growth look like? Because as you grow, the more you read, the more you learn, there should be evidence. I like that word, evidence.
Evidence is a big word.
That's the word of the day.
That's the word of the day. Evidence. Yeah. So there's people with no evidence. Ooh.
Yeah, and like you said, it goes. I mean, you said it about the musicians. You know, you got people that just show up to church just to get ahead and say, "Hey, I went to church. I'm gonna be covered this week." Like, you know what I'm saying? Just to say, "Okay, I did it." You know what I mean? So that's definitely, we got to come with this evidence. Show me, show me, or
show me, Steve.
Show me, because I know I might not make it every Sunday. I know it's a different feeling sometimes when I get in there, but you know, I'll be on virtual. Then I go in there. Some days I just won't be, but I make sure I take my time out, because it ain't just on Sunday. I do it every day. You know what I'm saying? To have that time.
This is water. I know some of y'all probably watching is like, oh my gosh, you got the red cup, something must be in there. I'm not drinking. This is water. You know, I try to get my 8 cups of water a day. So this is my cup. This is water. Yes. Back to regular
we not judging you, Mo. You go ahead and red cup it up. It's the Savedish Podcast. Even if it was something in there, guess what? It's just a little wine. It's just a little wine. You know what I mean? It's just a little wine.
No wrong with that. Look, Jesus turned into the best wine, did he not, Billy?
Come on now, won't he will? Won't he will? So
it was VSOP or something. I don't
know. But all I want to say is, people, and this couple right here, loosen up. Don't let the church block your blessing. Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. Don't get ahead and mess up, because listen, you're gonna keep pushing them, and you don't want to push them. Okay, so like, let's work together and then communicate, and then I think it becomes, let's make a compromise. Okay,
right. While you home, cook us up, make dinner.
Yeah, like you can do some of that, or you can be like, listen, at least once a month, we at least as a family got to go there. That's cool.
Yeah, make a plan, a date out of it.
Yes, you gotta plan something with that, and then once you do that, it was like, okay. And if it doesn't work out that way, it's okay. Let's not blow up and make it a whole situation. The church ain't going nowhere, and like I said, as long as your relationship is growing and you know that y'all are both walking in your faith and doing what you got to do, I think that's what's most important. And it gives some time to, like you said, in a marriage that you know, like two people becoming one, have their individuality. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be an individual. This might be I want to do. It might not be your walk, but you know I'm doing it in the right path, and we both gonna end up at the same place. You know,
I admire people who can let each other go to different churches and be secure in that. That's a different level of security. I mean, you know, I'm going to Mount Amy Zion, and he's going. That's a different, because you know, church women, they see your brother in there by himself. That's a different level of.
They be like, okay, come here every Sunday, but even
church brothers too. We can't.
I was going to say
church people in general.
Yo, everybody looking. He got a ring on.
Everybody's looking. Because as soon as the offering comes around, people pick up on who's new.
Even with the ring, some people find that even more attractive to flirt with, because they feel like, you know what, I can flirt. It ain't gonna go nowhere because they're married, I'm married. So yeah, so those of you
gotta watch them all. Gotta watch them all.
Gotta
watch them all. But people, listen, y'all know we can't end this show. We can't end this show without coming to the altar. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna be honest. This coming to the altar these past 3 Sundays have been my favorite part of the show. Because Pastor Payne's been out here bringing them to the altar. So I'm ready. I hope y'all ready. Pastor, what we doing today on Come to the Altar?
Listen. The Lord is too kind. And in the spirit of Lent, I want to continue with this spirit of Lent, because I know that since, you know, last week, you know, there's been a lot of different social media posts. Some of us been getting daily devotionals, and we're getting good graphic designs and all that good stuff. But a lot of times I've seen these posts, and you know, they're kind of misquoted. or they're just like made up quotes that have nothing to do with the Bible, have nothing to do with scripture. For example, God helps those who help themselves. That's not in the Bible, but it sounds good. Oh, just follow your heart. The Bible actually says that the heart could be deceitful. That's not in the Bible. If you manifest it, it will come. We've all heard that. We've all seen it. But that's not in the Bible. And so we understand that the internet is full of spiritual sounding advice. But everything that sounds good is not sound. It's not always rooted in God's truth. And so we need good discernment, not just good vibes. One of the problems is people will base their faith on posts, but not prayer. Just because something feels right doesn't mean that it aligns with the word of God. But check the evidence.
Bring that evidence back.
2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3-4 says, for the time will come when people will put up with people will not put up with sound doctrine, but they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. And so we got to be careful about what we see and digest, because everything.
Oh no!
Did we losing them? Hold on.
Once I come back, I just froze there. I feel
there you go. You back.
Here's a real question: are we feeding our spirit with real truth, or are we just scrolling through content that sounds good but it lacks depth?
That's good.
And so we must consider, what's the funniest or most ridiculous spiritual quote that you've ever seen on social media?
Let me try to think. This is good, because I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those people. Not saying one of those people that be posting the face. Like, I'm a motivational person. Like, I like to wake up for affirmations.
Yes.
You know, certain affirmations and things like that. Certain things like you can go ahead and joke and mix some things and be like, yeah, that sound good, but that's not what Jesus is really talking about.
Yeah, my mother, when I was growing up, she would always tell me cleanliness is next to godliness. That ain't nowhere in the scripture. Where the hell did she get that from?
Show me that in the Bible, Mama.
My mother used to say to me, smile and the whole world will smile with you. And I believed, I started believing that, and then I realized everybody not smiling back.
Everybody ain't got all their teeth. Everybody ain't got all their teeth.
That's right. That's right.
So let's just be honest.
Another one we'll always hear is money is the root of evil. The Bible don't say that. Right? It's a love of money. That's root. And so we just got to be careful about how we spend things and what we call biblical and what we just call quote unquote spiritual.
And now it brings me to this quick, like when people have those posts, right? There be some truth to it, and then I feel like if you're attaching the Bible to it and making it seem like it's a Bible verse and then say this and that, because I think that's what people do. They'll take something and say like, "Come on, look at God." You know what I'm saying?
Just attribute it to wherever you got the source from.
Yeah,
look at what my cousin LaQuisha said. Don't say God said that. I didn't say that. LaQuisha said it.
That's real, because I'm big on those those posts, and but then it becomes like I'm big on, like, I have this shirt here. It says I pray for this. On the back it says manifest, right? And I believe everything you get and pray for, you speak to God with it and you start speaking things into existence. I really believe in that, and I write those things, and like we talk about it, the big is like write it down and make it plain, and when we do those things, and I believe in that. But then some people be trying to think it's just, hey, yep, we're gonna do this, and there's no work behind it, there's no prayer, there's no journey behind it. I think the substance, there's got to be some substance.
Got to be substance behind
the substance when you're saying it. Like, some people like to just use words and just use it, but like, where's the substance? I think that's where the substance impact.
If you tell me you're manifesting something, that means you're working towards something. There is evidence
that you're working towards
that which you're manifesting. You're not just talking and saying, I'm manifesting from thin air something that I'm speaking into existence. Or you're not saying that
I knew he was going to go. I knew it. But nah, I truly believe it. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Like, I'm one of those. I need some evidence. I need some back work behind it. You back? Okay, yeah, there you back. Even when he came back,
I need some evidence behind my Wi-Fi, clearly,
yeah,
because
there's evidence that it looks like you're on dial-up. You know, so like,
it looks like I don't have none, right? That's what the evidence is.
Everybody, put your hands towards Pastor and pray for his Wi-Fi right now. That's
we're gonna bring my Wi-Fi to the altar while we're at it.
Come on now.
What you think, Bo?
Definitely. Because I'm a quoter. I will quote something in a minute. I look for stuff. Sometimes I'll search Google a good quote for today, and that's like my spiritual, portion for the day.
Now, when you say spiritual, is it a spirit? Do you look up spiritual quotes, or is it just something that moves you and becomes spiritual? Because I think you can read certain things and you can take it and then turn it into God, to where that's where I'm taking that energy.
See, that's the thing. I put it all under the same category.
Okay.
I put it all under the same category. Like he was saying, sometimes there is no weight behind it. Sometimes I just want a good quote.
Yeah.
So, I have to be more mindful about, so thank you for bringing that to our attention.
We give thanks. I do it all the time too. And I've learned to start just giving credit to where credit is due, and not necessarily giving credit always to God. And lying to other people and saying what God says and what he did not say. So I don't want to lie on God like that. I'll give credit to where credit is due.
Yeah. And because I think that for myself, what we said, Mo, like we both, I see us both posting certain things, and certain things I feel like it says one thing, but in our on our own, it will turns to a spiritual and a faith thing, and I go to it with God. You know what I'm saying? So it can be something motivation to spark. Like sometimes I need to hear certain things that'll make me, let's say, bring it to my faith wise. Something's gonna push you to go there. So it's back and forth. But like I said, when y'all blaming God for everything, y'all doing this and that in these posts, that ain't in the Bible. Make sure make sure you really got some real facts on these things. You got to fact check some of y'all things. Y'all
got to fact check some of these posts. Some of these posts, you got to fact check some of these. They have you jacked up out here.
Even like good morning, people don't know the weight that phrase carries.
Yes.
They just say good morning because it's the right thing to do. But I remember when I was, in the office, good morning was the most powerful phrase of the day, because it's declaring a good morning, right? It's opening up dialogue. That's letting you know that no matter what today brings, I'm going to be available for you. Because if you ever notice, sometimes in the workplace, a lot of coworkers don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
And work don't get done the right way because I'm not speaking to her. She don't like me. So once I saw that, I made it my business to say good morning to everyone, because even if we don't really like each other, I want to be able to communicate what we need to communicate so we can get the job done. So I think it's important when you walk into a room, when you walk into meetings, when you walk into people, especially when you don't know who's who, they feeling you or they don't feeling you. Greeting people is the most powerful phrase. That's something that I find is not spiritual, but I make it spiritual because it allows, is the segue to get the job done, whatever the job is. So good morning is one of the phrases that is underrated to me.
Nice. Speaking
of good morning, so because good morning could have a different connotation depending on who it comes from. And kind of even how it's said, right?
Where it started, where good morning came from. That's why a lot of people be saying grand rising instead of good morning.
Right. I mean? So what's your perspective on good morning? Because I know that I've heard a lot of different feedback. Good morning to me is just something that I like to say to people and let them know that I'm approachable, I'm available, because you'll be in the office. People will, and then a lot of work, don't get done because I can't go to her. She's in a bad mood. She's cranky. Nah, I'm saying good morning. Whatever y'all got going on, they ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
That's how I used it.
And I think when you know how you're using it, that's why I still say good morning. But when you know how you're using it, you know where you're coming from. I feel there are people that like to, that I don't say like to, that it might be real sensitive because they're thinking about where it came from. To
So
where
tell us a little bit about the origin of Good
so
Morning.
so from my understanding, it was like it was something they used with slaves. Like the slave owners will wake up and say good morning because the slaves will be waking up crying because of family that was passed, the family that passed. And for the slave owners, like, oh, this is a good morning, but the people are mourning the deaths of all,
Good morning.
them. It's good. So for them, it's like black people dying. It's like, this is a good morning. You know what I mean? Because the slaves were in mourning, and while the slave owners were saying, this is a good morning, this is what we want. So that's when people look at it like that. So when I think about those, in that context, it's like that. I say it and I'm like, okay, it hits me a little bit. But then I know how I'm using it,
Right.
So when people get ahead and say Grand Rising and this things like that, just to encourage the same way we made good morning is the same way someone might say Grand Rising. It's just the context in which we're taking it, but where it came from originally, that's what it's saying. That's when it
But
comes
that's why intention is very important. What is your intention behind it?
intention. Correct.
Right.
Everything we do, somebody's gonna, no matter what we say, there's gonna be someone that feels some type of way about something that we say.
Correct.
There's a thing where Cowboys was originally, a slave thing. There's always going to be someone that say, "Nah, I don't say that. I only say this." And to be honest with you, to separate a language that we've used for years is difficult.
It's just knowing your context, and then sometimes if people get to it's like, I just want to, use it in this way. But you already know, I love people. We know coming to the altar is one of my favorites, and we appreciate y'all saying that. If y'all got anybody y'all want to. Yeah, if y'all want to send anybody to the altar, I can send it into Savedish Sunday Podcast at billionairecomedy.com. This has been another good show in the books, episode 6. People, I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you have a great week. Listen, we're going to be doing something real special real soon. We're going to probably do a whole live episode where y'all will be able to get and interact with us in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So please stay tuned to that. Make sure you're following us on all platforms, Save the Sunday Pod. And we will be back next Sunday. We hope y'all have a great week. We thank everybody on the Aspire Living Network. And on behalf of your boy, Bill the Billionaire, Monique Latisse, and Pastor John Page, we will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good week and be blessed. Keep it safe.
Peace. Blessings on blessings.